A man just made an impact statement in an Arizona court before a judge, possibly affecting the sentencing of a defendant who had shot and killed someone in a road rage incident in 2021. Now, all that's pretty standard, so nothing really to see here, except the only problem is the man who made that impact statement was very, very dead. And that's because he was in fact the man who was shot and killed in 2021. An AI-generated likeness of him was created thanks to the victim's sister and then given a script and put on the stand. It was said to be so effective that the judge in the case called it moving. "I love that AI," he said. And it may have moved him so much that he tacked on extra time to the sentence he gave out. And this isn't even the only case of AI roaming around in the courtroom. It's been popping up here and there lately, so in this video, I'm going to take a look at what happened in Arizona. And I'm also going to take a look at the various questions this raises and the effects it could possibly have on us and society. I'm Kevin Lankus, but good luck being able to tell if I'm even alive or not. Maybe you're not alive. Maybe we're all dead. Maybe we're all cows. Earlier this month, in a Maricopa courtroom, the AI avatar of a deceased man named Christopher Pelkey gave an impact statement before Judge Todd Lang. This happened at the sentencing of Pelkey's killer, a man named Gabriel Paul Horcasitas, who shot Pelkey while the pair was stopped at a red light in Chandler, Arizona in 2021. Now, the AI-generated Pelkey did start off by explaining that it wasn't real.
Just to be clear for everyone seeing this, I am a version of Chris Pelkey recreated through AI that uses my picture and my voice profile. I was able to be digitally regenerated to share with you today.
But even so, it went on to firmly establish to the viewer that it really was an honest representation of Pelkey, and it was using his words and voicing his beliefs. And it was designed to speak in a very human and very endearing way. And the reason that's an issue is because of how people respond to this kind of thing. Because studies show that we can't even always tell the difference between AI-generated people and real flesh and blood humans. A University of Waterloo study from last year found that 61% or so of people could tell the difference, and that number's only going to keep falling as the technology gets better and better. Also, an issue here is that studies show that people do experience empathy for robots and AI, and that empathy only grows the more realistic or human-like that something is. So seeing a robot like R2-D2 get zapped and fall over, for example, makes people feel kind of bad for it. But watching an AI avatar of a murder victim give an impact statement is on a whole different level. Pelkey's sister, Stacey, spoke to the media about creating the AI avatar and how she went about it. She and her husband Tim work in tech, and they've previously created AI avatars of former CEOs and founders and had those digital recreations speak at company conferences. The pair got together with their business partner and put together the Pelkey bot in just a few days, which is honestly pretty impressive. They used a combination of different tools along with clips and images of Pelkey and melded it all together into a roughly representative digital homunculus. I've seen both a genuine video of Pelkey at this point and the video of the avatar from the courtroom, and I'll say that the avatar appears to be a bit more intentionally curated, maybe a little more deliberately polished than the man himself, and they did admit that they tweaked a couple of things, like digitally trimming his beard, for instance.
But here is insight into who I actually was in real life. Take a look.
All right, I'm Chris Pelkey. I served with the United States Army in the infantry. I'm from upstate New York. And what else?
And Wales told NPR that, quote, "I knew what he stood for and it was just very clear to me what he would say." Of course, if you're playing along at home, you may have picked out the AI-generated flaw in the logic here, because by default, there is no way at all to know what someone would say about their own murder or about the person who murdered them. And that's one of the main concerns surrounding this new trend that some people are calling digital necromancy. Some people also call this and related things by the name PCTs, or posthumous communication technologies. I've also seen at least one study refer to them as death bots. Whatever you call it, choosing to resurrect someone digitally could be bad in a number of ways. For one, you could be giving away access to their personal information because all someone would need to do is talk to their AI avatar and ask it questions to unlock everything about their life. So identity theft is a real concern here, but so is misrepresenting someone's views and beliefs. Making an AI avatar and giving it a script is quite literally putting words in someone else's mouth. Ultimately, 10 people gave impact statements at the sentencing, and Pelkey was the last to speak. Judge Lang simultaneously expressed his love for the AI as he handed down 10.5 years to Pelkey's killer, even though the prosecution only asked for 9.5. And the defense was apparently not given any advance notice at all that AI was even going to be used at the sentencing. So no surprise, but the lawyer for Pelkey's killer said that, quote, "It appears that the judge gave some weight to the AI video, and that is an issue that will likely be pursued on appeal." Yeah, no shit. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but it does seem like this case was given a pretty big reason to be re-examined. Or at least the sentencing. Now, Wales cites one of the post hoc reasons for making the avatar is that it really helped the family along in the grieving process. She said it brought them closer to Pelkey and closer to one another and allowed them to process their loss and to heal. And this argument reminds me a little bit of an area of ethics called consequentialism, which is the idea that the ends justify the means, or that something can be judged by the result that it has rather than on its own merit. And when we look at the research, the data shows that only a small percentage of people believe that some positive benefit could come from using digital necromancy somewhere in the grieving process. Most respondents in the survey data believe that using AI avatars of deceased loved ones would only make the grieving process worse and could potentially serve to continually reinflict trauma. And only 3% of people said that they would pay for an AI avatar of a loved one if it was available and affordable. One study from 2021 that looked into VR technology that created avatars for the deceased stated that it even had the potentiality to manifest a condition called prolonged grief disorder, which is a clinical diagnosis that produces a lot of complicated symptoms in a situation where grief simply doesn't go away. Now, there is some research to suggest that VR and AI avatars can be helpful for people to process grief, but they need to be administered in a regulated and clinical setting by a professional. You can't just rig up something in your backyard and summon the deceased and expect your campfire techno seance to turn out well for you. One thing that's kind of driving me crazy about all this in the media coverage is that every outlet is just going on and on and on about how the Pelkey bot was awash in a message of forgiveness. The judge talked about this and how he felt about this, and everyone is picking up on that and just keeping up on that narrative and keeping it alive. But there are major flaws with that reporting. One is that the AI avatar never actually uses the words, "I forgive you." It does not outright forgive Pelkey's killer, and the closest it gets is to say that it believes in forgiveness and, quote, "in God who forgives." But it doesn't actually say the words ever. The other massive thing to point out here is that in all this talk about forgiveness and the message that Pelkey's family seems to want the AI to embody is that the family itself actually asked for the maximum sentence possible. And yeah, I mean, in light of that, the cynic in me finds it kind of hard to believe that the AI avatar was anything more than a tactic to secure that potentiality. Of course, I'm not claiming that that's the case at all, and it's hard to say with any certainty what anyone in this case really thinks, least of all Pelkey himself. One thing we can talk about, though, is how the media really needs to be far more critical, of course, just in general, but also in these kinds of human interest pieces. Now, the angle of approach here was fluffy, feel-good, lifestyle piece, and when you write those, a lot of your critically thinking brain cells just kind of turn off. I've done those pieces, I get it. You want to highlight the good, the cathartic, the hope and the darkness and the void and the awful forever sadness. But when one of these stories intersects with a situation that could have massive implications on the future of not only the legal system, but many other aspects of society, I think we need to turn those brain cells back on and do some genuine analysis. I'm not going to say anything more about that because I'm sure a lot of people already hate me for saying some of these things, so I'm just going to stop while I'm behind. What I am going to do, though, is ask you what you think. Is AI in the courtroom justice served, or is it big tech gone too far? Let me know in the comments what you think about using AI in the courtroom, or about the AI avatar used in the sentencing of Pelkey's killer, or even weird and new, morally ambiguous uses of AI outside of the legal system altogether. I'm going to be covering more of that soon, so let me know what you'd be interested in learning about. Also, please like and subscribe so that I can bring you more of these in the future. All of my relevant details are down in the didgeridoo, so you can find me online to argue about stuff or just buy me a coffee on Patreon. I'll see you in the next one. In the meantime, let's do some good wherever we personally can in the world. AI avatars of decreased loved ones would only decreased loved ones. They're smaller now. They're very small. You pick them up and you put them in your pocket and carry them around. That's, hey, loved one, what's going on? I have a loved one. I have a decreased loved one with me always.